So Mishnah 2, page 556 in the Aron Scroll. Third parak, Mishnah 2. So Reb Chanina, Sagan Kohanim, says, it's not 100% true. Not everybody is at a level where merely intellectually understanding the consequences of their lives is enough to keep them from sin. There's some not such nice guys out there. So, for the best of us, Mishnah 1 is what keeps us out of sin. For the rest of us, it's Mishnah 2 that keeps us safe. Rabbi Chanina, Sagan HaKohanim, says, Chave mispalel b'shalom shel malchus. You need to daven. You need to constantly be davening. It's not a one-time tefillah. It's anything uses this chave word, the to be verb. It's a constant thing. Chave mispalel. You need to constantly be davening. B'shalom shel malchus, for the peace, the consistency, the wholesomeness, the peace of the government. We are not fans of anarchy. We are not fans of revolution. Right? She'ilmale mora'a, because it wasn't for the fear of it, ish atreyehu chayim below. A man would swallow his very brother alive. Right? Like a fish. Dogs don't eat dogs. Wolves don't eat wolves. Fish, you get pleasure, no pleasure. Fish just walks up and goes, whoop, and swallows the other fish. We live with a very thin veil of civility. Right? We've seen numerous times, even in recent times, that when the fear of government is stripped away from what is otherwise a sane civilization, those people turn into beasts. Right? You remember here in Los Angeles when the riots happened, when the moment they projected a picture of the police standing by while people ransacked a store, and people realized that there was no enforcement, that the government would stop nothing, that there was no longer a thin blue line between them and violence and crime, the city exploded. Right? You look at this thing, the city that always struck me was Sarajevo. Right? You go back as a fluke of history, the dividing line between the Catholic, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire ran through what's currently Yugoslavia. Everyone to the west of the line became Roman Catholic. Everything to the east of the line became Eastern Orthodox. Right? So you have an area, same people, same tribe, same language, same people, but to the west of the line became Roman Catholic Croatians. To the east of the line became Eastern Orthodox Serbians. When the Ottoman Empire marched north, taking a piece of territory, every place, the final front lines of the Ottoman Empire, that became the Muslims. So you have an area, a place like Sarajevo, which is a city where people have lived, an admixture of Catholic Croatians and Eastern Serbians, Serbian Orthodox, and Muslims for hundreds and hundreds of years. In the same way that we live in mixed neighborhoods, where you have, in your block, you can have people who are different. When their federal government fell apart, after the fall of Tito, and it became clear, for a variety of reasons, that the factions that controlled were willing to see the decimation of the other factions. When the Serbs were interested in pushing out and decimating, right, the Croatians and the Muslims, and it became open season, that basically as soon as the government said, there is no consequence for you committing a crime against a non-co-religionist, right, you suddenly saw people murdering and raping their neighbors. Right? People who'd lived down the block for you from generations, that you'd eaten in their homes, and you would decimate them, line your neighbors up against the wall and shoot them. Right? That when normally theoretically civilized Germans and Poles and Ukrainians and Slovaks, right, people think that the crimes of Hitler's Germany were unique. I mean, they are unique in scale, but the concept, in a way, you make a mistake if you think only a Nazi could do such a thing and that otherwise we're safe. It's a mistake. Human beings have the ability, if you take away that fear of repercussion, if it is clear that the government will not touch you, that there is no consequence, then man will turn into a brute. And he will eat his brother alive. He'll eat his friend alive. He'll destroy anything. But anarchy is not, we are not fans of anarchy. As Jews, we thrive in a society that's safe. and protected and civil and peaceful. We think, the Shevulah B'nai Noach, the 7 fundamental laws. Right? We say all human beings should know. Right? If you were kidnapped and raised by aliens, you would not figure out kashrut. You're not held responsible for Shabbos. Right? You are held responsible for murder. It says no matter who you are, no matter what your society teaches you, any human being should wake up, look at the world, any society can come to the conclusion that you can't have murder. Right? But it should also come to the conclusion that you need to have courts, that you need to have rule of law, that you can't have anarchy. It's considered fundamental to human being survival. We saw in the first paragraph when it says, the world survives on emes and shalom. You can't survive with anarchy. Right? Human beings need that wall.
Even in the pre-revolution, what John Adams did by defending the British, who were attacking, who were accused of attacking colonialists, that he defended them in order to preserve
Right.
law and order, because otherwise there would be a mob, an
Right.
American mob.
Right. So he says you have to pay, and it uses the word malchus, right, a legitimate government. Right? You don't have to pray for the government of a Hitler. On the other hand, when is Hananiah Sargon Kohanim? He is speaking at the time where we live under Roman rule. It is a brutal and oppressive government. It is not, he's not talking that he's living, it's not if you live in a liberal democratic republic you should pray. He's living in a tough time. And he still says, better to have institutional authority. Right? Human beings, especially men, have a drive for degradation and destruction. Part of our Yetzer Hara, the strongest Yetzer Hara we have. Right? Everyone understands the Yetzer Hara for sexuality, but there's a strong Yetzer Hara for dehumanization, to see people's souls ripped away from them, to see them pulverized and destroyed. And that Yetzer Hara rises up and destroys us. So these two Mishnayot come together in this question of, do you live as bodies or do you live as souls? Right? In a world where people live as bodies, then you need to have cops and soldiers. You need to have rules and restrictions, and you better pray that anarchy never rears its ugly head. When anarchy hits the streets, those of us who are soft, mushy civilians are in for a bad, bad ride. Basically, civilians sleep quietly in their beds because there are a few hard men, standing guard in the night who are willing to use violence. It's that line, right? That's what it means. You pray for the welfare of government. You pray that we have a civil government that stands out there and protects us from the forces of decimation. So you put in one of these two pieces, right? Hopefully, ideally, you're trying to be the kind of guy who, even when there is no cop, you don't loot, because you think about the consequences. But for the rest of them, you pray for the welfare of government. Just as an aside, this Mishnah is written to Jews. It's not written to hoodlums. He wants you to know, hey, you, Mr. Jewish guy, you have this potential in you too. Right? We have the potential to be barbarians. It's one of the reasons why men wear tefillin. Tefillin is aimed at this Yetzer Hara. This Yetzer Hara to desecrate, to strip the souls off of people and destroy them. We can talk about that in a different Mishnah. So that's the second Mishnah.